Here's a mind-blowing fact that'll change how you think about medical breakthroughs. Over 50% of all major pharmaceutical discoveries happened completely by accident. Today, we're diving into one of the most famous accidental discoveries in modern medicine, a little blue pill that wasn't supposed to do what it's famous for at all. You know Viagra as the world's most recognized treatment for erectile dysfunction. It's become a cultural phenomenon, spawning countless jokes, generating billions in revenue, and fundamentally changing conversations about men's health. But what if I told you that this revolutionary medication was never intended to help anyone in the bedroom? In fact, the researchers who discovered its famous side effect were trying to solve an entirely different medical problem, one that affects the heart, not romantic relationships. Our story begins in the late 1980s in the laboratories of Pfizer, the pharmaceutical giant. Scientists there were working on a compound called sildenafil citrate, and their target wasn't sexual health at all. They were laser-focused on developing a new treatment for angina, a painful chest condition caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. Angina affects millions of people worldwide, causing crushing chest pain that can be debilitating and life-threatening. The research team, led by British scientist Peter Dunn and his colleague Albert Wood, had an elegant theory. They believed that by blocking an enzyme called phosphodiesterase, type 5, or PDE5, they could help blood vessels relax and expand. This would increase blood flow to the heart muscle, potentially relieving the painful symptoms of angina and reducing high blood pressure. The science behind their approach was sound. PDE5 breaks down a molecule called cyclic guanosine monophosphate, or CGMP, which helps smooth muscle cells and blood vessels relax. By blocking PDE5, sildenafil would allow CGMP levels to remain high, keeping blood vessels dilated and improving circulation. It was textbook pharmacology, and the team was optimistic about their chances of success. In 1989, Pfizer began the first human trials of sildenafil for angina treatment. The initial studies took place in Morriston Hospital in Wales, where researchers carefully monitored patients who received the experimental drug. They were looking for improvements in exercise tolerance, reduced chest pain, and better overall heart function. The results, however, were disappointing. Patients taking sildenafil showed only modest improvements in their angina symptoms. The drug wasn't performing as well as existing treatments, and it certainly wasn't the breakthrough Pfizer had hoped for. The blood pressure benefits were also minimal. After years of research and development, it seemed like sildenafil was destined to become another failed pharmaceutical experiment, joining the thousands of compounds that never make it to market. But then, something unexpected happened during the clinical trials. Male participants began reporting an unusual side effect that had nothing to do with their hearts. They were experiencing spontaneous erections, and many were reluctant to return their unused pills at the end of the study. The research nurses noticed this pattern, and word quickly spread through the research team. Dr. Ian Osterloh, the clinical researcher overseeing the trials, initially dismissed these reports as coincidental. After all, they were studying a heart medication, not investigating sexual function. But as more and more patients reported the same side effect, the team began to pay attention. Could this unexpected reaction actually be the key to sildenafil's future? The breakthrough moment came when the researchers realized that the same mechanism that was supposed to help heart blood vessels could also affect blood flow in other parts of the body. The penis contains smooth muscle tissue similar to that found in blood vessels, and PDE5 is particularly abundant in penile tissue. When sildenafil blocked PDE5 in this area, it dramatically improved blood flow, making erections easier to achieve and maintain. This discovery was revolutionary because erectile dysfunction was still largely considered a psychological problem in the early 1990s. Medical professionals often dismissed it as being all in the head, and treatment options were limited and invasive. Suddenly, here was a simple pill that could address what was actually a vascular problem for many men. Pfizer made a pivotal decision in 1994. Instead of abandoning sildenafil as a failed heart medication, they decided to pivot and investigate its potential as an erectile dysfunction treatment. This decision required significant courage and investment, as the company was essentially starting over with a completely different medical indication. The new clinical trials for erectile dysfunction began in 1994, and the results were nothing short of spectacular. In study after study, sildenafil proved remarkably effective at treating erectile dysfunction across a wide range of patients and underlying causes. Men who had struggled with this condition for years suddenly found relief with a simple pill taken an hour before sexual activity. The drug worked so well that Pfizer fast-tracked its development and regulatory approval process. On March 27, 1998, the Food and Drug Administration approved sildenafil citrate under the brand name Viagra for the treatment of erectile dysfunction. It was the first oral medication specifically approved for this condition, marking a historic moment in men's health. The launch of Viagra created an immediate cultural phenomenon. Within weeks of its approval, the drug was making headlines around the world. Pharmacies couldn't keep it in stock, and millions of men who had suffered in silence suddenly had hope. The little blue diamond-shaped pill became an instant icon, recognizable even to people who had never used it. But Viagra's impact went far beyond individual patients. It fundamentally changed how society talked about erectile dysfunction and men's sexual health. What had once been a taboo subject whispered about in doctors' offices became the subject of television commercials and open conversations. The drug helped destigmatize a condition that affects millions of men worldwide. The financial impact was equally dramatic. In its first year on the market, Viagra generated over $1 billion in sales for Pfizer. It became one of the most successful pharmaceutical launches in history, eventually earning the company tens of billions of dollars and establishing erectile dysfunction as a legitimate medical specialty. Interestingly, researchers never completely abandoned sildenafil's original purpose. While Viagra became famous for treating erectile dysfunction, scientists continued studying the drug's effects on pulmonary circulation. In 2005, the FDA approved a higher-dose version called Revatio for treating pulmonary arterial hypertension, a rare but serious condition affecting blood vessels in the lungs. The discovery of Viagra also opened up entirely new areas of medical research. Scientists began investigating other PDE5 inhibitors and exploring how they might treat various conditions involving blood flow. This led to the development of similar drugs like Cialis and Levitra, creating an entire new class of medications. The accidental nature of Viagra's discovery highlights a crucial aspect of scientific research: serendipity. Many of history's greatest medical breakthroughs happened when researchers noticed unexpected results and had the wisdom to investigate further. Penicillin, pacemakers, and countless other life-changing innovations emerged from similar moments of scientific curiosity about unintended consequences. Peter Dunn and Albert Wood, the original researchers who developed sildenafil for heart conditions, probably never imagined their compound would become one of the most famous medications in the world. Their methodical work on cardiovascular disease laid the foundation for a discovery that would impact millions of lives in ways they never anticipated. Today, Viagra remains one of the most prescribed medications globally, with millions of men relying on it to maintain intimate relationships and overall quality of life. The drug has been studied extensively for other potential uses, including treating everything from jet lag to mountain sickness, though none of these applications have proven as successful as its famous primary use. The story of Viagra serves as a powerful reminder that innovation often comes from unexpected places. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs happen not when we find what we're looking for, but when we pay attention to what we weren't looking for at all. In the world of scientific discovery, keeping an open mind about unexpected results can literally change the world, one accidental side effect at a time.